Hello and welcome back on the next episode of our Who's Who of Watchmaking, and after the Swatch Group and Richemont, we are pursuing with the presentation of the big power groups of this watchmaking industry. We still have a couple of these to do, and then we'll finally switch to a more detailed portrait of the history and particularities of the most interesting and influential brands, one after the other. So today we will actually talk about two of these massive players, as there are quite a few parallels to be made when you're talking about LVMH and Kering. They are both French, they are both headed by men fascinated and very involved in the world of fine art and contemporary art in particular, and they are both huge luxury conglomerates. Both have portfolio of brands that mean they straddle the various luxury markets, though Kering has become slightly more focused on fashion and lifestyle brands, whereas LVMH also has substantial fingers in the worlds of wines, cosmetics, and even radio. And of course, they both have notable names in the world of watches as well as jewelry, with LVMH holding Chaumet, Heuer, Zenith, Bulgari, and Hublot and Fred and De Beers on the jewelry side, and Kering taking responsibility for Gucci, Jean Richard, Girard-Perregaux, Boucheron, and Ulysse Nardin, and jewelry brands Kering, Dodo, and Pomellato. However, despite having a range of watch brands that sit within the same sectors of the market, these two companies are, on closer inspection, dramatically different beasts. The investment strategy, particularly when it comes to the watch brands of the two companies, is one of the most noticeable ways in which they diverge. LVMH's prevailing attitude has always been to play it safe with its investment, while Kering has come from being a bit of a hodgepodge of brands to a group more focused on hard luxury, generally defined as watches and jewelry. Kering has not been entirely successful in its investments, most of which it acquired between 2011 and 2014, when it went on a spending spree and bought every brand in its watch and jewelry portfolio apart from Boucheron. However, in some cases, it either bought too expensively or didn't transform its purchases into success stories. Something that we'll look at it in more detail just in a little while. So despite spending 11.6 billion on acquisition from 2004 to 2014, Bernard Arnault's investments have been more circumspect and calculated. For instance, he engineered a share swap with the Bulgari family that saw LVMH take over the luxury Italian name, and in 2014 was only just prevented from getting his claws into Hermès when a 23% stake in the company was discovered to have been amassed by equity swaps again, but without Hermès knowledge. So Arnault was forced to redistribute the share to its investors and shareholders, leaving Groupe Arnault with a diminished 8.5% stake in the French luxury house. And we'll come back on Hermès in the next Who's Who soon, because it's also one of those very important players. One of the big differences between the two is that LVMH not only knows how to manage its portfolio, but also has manufacturing capabilities, whereas Kering buys brand but generally still has to rely on outside suppliers. There is also a different business model at play here. Prior to 2014, there was a general feeling that the LVMH approach was one that respected each brand's autonomy with more of a laissez-faire attitude from higher management. However, in 2014, Arnault reshuffled and brought in Antonio Belloni to oversee jewelry with an umbrella strategy incorporating Bulgari, Chaumet, Fred, and De Beers, and Jean-Claude Biver to be his equal for the watch brands. So despite Biver being a different man to Arnault, I doubt they go on holiday together, if you see what I mean, well, this appointment showed a recognition of his talents at boosting watch brand sales, something that, he has been proven with the rather successful repositioning of Heuer and with the recent departure of Aldo Magada from Zenith. Well, we will soon see how Mr. Biver takes on this new challenge. And just on a side note, well, I just wanted to mention that I'm really impressed by Mr. Biver's perseverance. He's proven it all, he's got enough money, he's not 42 anymore, but no, he's still there and ready to take a new challenge. So you may like him or not, but his working capacity, his energy are really quite something on their own. So coming back to Kering, well, it operates as more of a gentleman's club, though that has changed somewhat with the appointment of 2 women CEOs to head up Pomellato and Dodo and Boucheron in the recent management shake-up, which occurred when Albert Bensoussan was drafted in and replaced all the heads of the brand except for one. This prevailing corporate attitude could be responsible for some of Kering's less than savvy investments. Take Ulysse Nardin, for instance. When Kering bought the brand for a rumored 760 million euro back in 2014, the estimated operating profit was in the region of 25%, roughly double that of Kering's Gucci watch division, with annual revenue of an estimated 315 million Swiss franc, which compares with 375 million Swiss franc for the whole of Kering's watch division, including Gucci. So it was also a brand that had in-house manufacturing capabilities and was technologically innovative, something Kering could share across its other brands. However, Ulysse Nardin was highly dependent on its Russian market, where the brand is perceived as the crème de la crème. But the slump in the general Russian luxury market mere month later saw employees of the brand being put in temporary unemployment, and there was a sense that Kering had made another troubled investment. Girard-Perregaux has also had a bit of a trouble since it joined the Kering fold. There was a general feeling that Michele Sofisti, who was formerly at Gucci, was launching too many models that had nothing to do with the brand's history. This is something that was rectified when the new CEO, Mr. Calce, came in 2015. Under Calce, we have seen some varied output actually. There was the confusing Place Girardet collection to celebrate its 225th anniversary, with each of the dials of the 225th strong collection bearing a date and an inscription relating to events of historical importance in each year since the brand's inception. Bit complicated. But on the upside, there has been the very successful revamp of the Laureato, which heralded Girard-Perregaux's entrance into the 5,000 to 10,000 Swiss franc segment of the market, one with quite a lot of promise. So despite that, it has had to reduce its point of sales from 500 to 400, all which makes it unsurprising that in 2015 the watch side was the only part of the Kering portfolio that didn't grow, whereas LVMH, thanks in no small part to the Beaver-led shake-up of the watch division, well, it was up 19%. So that's not to say it's all plain sailing at LVMH. Zenith has gone from being a brand that produced refined, desirable watches to a brand that seems to be clutching at affiliations, tennis, table tennis stars, cigars and man with mustache on bicycles, the Rolling Stones. Well, in order to make sense of itself, well, I'm personally not totally convinced that this was the best idea. Like I've always said, I'm not too keen on these co-branding operation, but I admit, for instance, that the Range Rover edition of the El Primero is rather nice, but I would never buy it even if I had 12 Range Rovers in my garage, which I don't. And the only dream I have actually is to have a good old Land Rover 110, that would be perfect. So anyhow, let's go back to today's subject, and it can't be too much of a leap to surmise that part of this discrepancy in the way things are done at each company is down to each conglomerate's origin. LVMH is luxury through and through, formed when Luxury Vuitton merged with Moet Hennessy in 1987. While Kering's origins are in wood, Pinault originally set up Établissement Pinault as a timber and construction material distribution business. It didn't even really enter the luxury sector until 2004, when what had become PPR increased its shares to 99.4% of Gucci Group's capital. Well, since then, he has been selling and accumulating brands, designers to up its luxury credential with, as we have seen, mixed success. And in order to perhaps solidify its new identity as a luxury group, PPR was renamed Kering in 2013. It is pronounced the same as Kering, but also plays with the origin of the business in Brittany, the northern region of France. In Breton, in the Breton language, Care means home or place to live. And as it stands now, Kering is still lagging slightly behind LVMH in luxury watch stakes. This is partly because it also has sportswear element thanks to Puma and Volcom, which slightly diminishes its pure luxury status, but also because LVMH has more generally recognizable watch brands names under its belt. However, that doesn't mean it's game over yet. Some canny horological acquisitions similar to the Christopher Kane purchase on the fashion side and Kering's fortune could alter. That and maybe being clever enough to employ the next Jean-Claude Biver, if indeed there is such a thing. So thank you very much, see you soon, all the best.